Welcome to Soul Sync, a sacred space for women of color navigating the in-between. I'm Pamela J. Thomas, and I created this podcast to hold space for your next chapter. Let's take a breath and begin. Welcome to Soul Sync, where we pause long enough to hear the truth beneath the noise. I'm your host, Pamela J. Thomas. Today's episode invites us into another conversation about navigating life's transitions, and I'm so excited to be able to introduce you all to Lachrisa Grandberry. She's an actor, writer, and speaker. Just really excited to have a younger voice, too. I know people think I focus on retirement, but we really want to help all of us, all of the women of color who are facing transition in this moment, find ideas. Know that you can get through by hearing other people's stories. Welcome, and thank you so much for being here, Lachrisa.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So before we dive
into the conversation,
this is going to be a good one, y'all. But before we dive in, let's take a breath together, just to get ourselves centered and help the audience get centered too, so we can take in all the goodness. So take a seat, whatever's comfortable for you. Make sure your feet are planted on the ground. And have a sense that you're supported by whatever you're sitting on. Let's take a breath in together. Hold it for 1 second and exhale through your mouth. Let's do one more of those. Inhale. And exhale through your mouth gently. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes and we'll get started. Lachrisa, I am beyond excited to have you here. You are probably one of the most creative folks that I've had on so far. And a lot of us have this creativity within us that we don't allow to express, or we're in spaces where that skill's not called for. Let's call it that way.
Yeah.
It's always exciting to talk to people who are really living into their gifts in the way you are. Tell us about your work and your journey to get to this place. Y'all, she's been in Color Purple. She's doing Christmas Carol. I don't even know all the stuff, but she's based in Chicago. So that's like a city. And she's doing the thing.
Yes. In honor of talking about transitions, I will tell you about my transition into the industry of performing arts.
Yes.
Because I graduated college. When I was in school, I was working part-time as a performing arts teacher at a school in Milwaukee. And upon graduating, they'd offer me a full-time job to come be the full-time performing arts teacher. And so I went directly into education upon graduating college. And then a lot of transition happened at the school that I was at for 4 years or 3 years.
Yeah.
And I ended up switching schools and I moved to another school and I was the 5th grade homeroom, 5th grade science, 5th and 6th grade English language arts teacher.
Wow. That's such a wide variety of things too. Literally is. All the stuff, just about all the stuff.
I completely flipped and going to that school. And so I was teaching 5th grade ELA science and religion. And while I was there, I loved teaching. So I had a great time, but it wasn't like my passion. It wasn't the thing that I was just like, I'm going to be an actor one day. But I love kids and I love teaching. And I had this student and he was having a hard time. We did writing prompts every morning.
Oh,
yeah. He did not want to write that morning. And the writing prompt was to write a letter to your future self, telling them about you and why you want to do whatever it is you want to do. So they all chose whatever career path they think they want to go into. And you're going to write a letter to yourself who's doing that thing and remind them of why you wanted them to do that thing. Wow. And my 5th grade student, Daniel, said to me, Ms. Grandberry, why we got to do this? It's not like you went out to chase your dreams.
Oh, wow. Wow. I know you that well too.
I had on my classroom wall, I had a dream wall, and it was a bunch of theater production photos from college and like high school. And so they got to see a lot of photos of me in plays, and they knew that I love theater. They knew that I love acting. And he said that to me.
Girl, oh, out of the mouths of babes. Whoa.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, one thing about children, Oh boy. Don't love them, but they don't have those filters. So they just gonna tell you what it is.
You're going to get the truth.
Yeah, exactly. It may hurt, but you will get it. Oh, so
Yeah.
that was a formative moment for you.
It really was. And I said to him, and I don't know, like, I can't tell anybody why it happened the way it did, but this is what happened. And I said, Daniel, how about this? I'll make a deal. If you do your writing prompt, I will Google an audition. And
Girl.
so we made a deal. He said, okay. And he stood up and he had already been walking around. So he stood up and grabbed his notebook and he went to a standing desk and he started writing this essay. So I said, okay, let me go Google theater auditions in Milwaukee. And that's what I did. I Googled and there was a random audition that was for a Christmas show. It had this long title. It was at a community theater called Morning Star Productions, which was a Christmas show being ran inside of this church.
Okay.
And I signed up for an audition. I was like, okay, look, you did it, I did it. We're both, come on, chasing dreams together then. I went to the audition for kicks and giggles just to tell them I did it.
Get out. Oh, and of course
And then
you
I booked it.
I was gonna say, of course you got the job.
I got
That
the job,
beautiful
and mind
voice.
you, this is like community theater. And so I paid like $200 for for several weeks of work. And so I did the audition, I booked the job, and then after I booked the job, I was like, okay, I'll do it. Why not? I didn't need the income to,
Yeah,
I was a teacher. So I was like,
$200.
it's fine.
Yeah.
I'll be working a lot of hours.
Yeah.
But I did that show and it reminded me of why I wanted to do theater. And all my students came and their parents came to see the show. It was a lovely moment. And this was in December that I done that show, 2000, oh goodness, 16.
Oh wow. Oh,
Wasn't that long ago. And that February, I decided, was it 2000? It might have been 2015. But that February, I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna leave the classroom and I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna look up a bunch of auditions and look up an internship opportunities in theater and I'm gonna transition myself out of the classroom. And I did. And it just so happened at like a perfect time
yeah.
because my kid, oh my goodness, Daniel was so mad at me. My students were all so mad that I told them I wasn't coming back next year.
Yeah.
And they were so disappointed. But then it all happened exactly when it needed to. It wasn't really by my own doing of being like, I'm going to do this thing. It was because a student challenged me. And I was just like, all right, I hear you, heard. I'm going to do this thing for kicks and giggles that turned out to be the thing that literally pulled me in the direction of the thing that I've always wanted to do, which was perform.
Remembering who you are.
Yeah.
So much of this process of being in transition is a beautiful opportunity to remember who you are. And
Yeah.
a lot of us skip over it by skipping on the surface, but you actually took the challenge and went deep. And so you said that it's not of your own doing, but it absolutely, you could have heard him and ignored him very
Yeah.
easily, but you wanted to remember.
Yeah.
And so you started to remember who you are. What other formative things have happened? So you said not long. Girl, that's a decade. That's amazing. Amazing. You've been doing this for a decade.
Yeah, it has been so I transitioned into theater full time
Yeah.
the end of that school year and I went directly into a fellowship program at First Stage in Milwaukee, which was
Okay.
a theater and teaching fellowship, which was like perfect for me who had been a teacher
Yeah.
to still go share in multiple classrooms but also be performing at the same time. And from that fellowship, I have just kept going. And so 2 years later, I moved to Chicago. I had an agent and I had been coming back and forth. And I think that transition, the transition from leaving Milwaukee to coming to Chicago,
Mhm.
was also one that, like, both, which is crazy. It scared me. It scared me, but it excited me. I was thrilled. I was like, oh, I'm going to do it. I remember when I was in college or when I was in high school and I was planning to go to college, because a lot of my life, my childhood was bounced around from home to home, or that's really it, home to home to home, group home, foster home, whatever the case, whoever
Yeah.
had me win, because I spent so much time doing that in my high school and childhood years. I was afraid to go to college out of state.
Got it.
And I was afraid to go to college out of state because I was like, what if I am not able to sustain? What if I can't take care of myself and I don't know people there? And I don't like even to Chicago. I'd apply every college I applied for, I got into. And I really wanted to go to Columbia in Chicago because Columbia was really known for the arts, but I was afraid. And so I didn't do it. I stayed in Milwaukee and I went to a small school and went to Wisconsin Lutheran College in Milwaukee. And it worked out great. And I got what I needed.
Yeah.
But after into the industry, I was like, you know what? I don't have to be scared anymore. I'm going to do this thing. It is scary, but it's also thrilling and it's exciting. And I'm just going to take this leap. And I moved to Chicago.
Yeah.
And I think that transition was one of the best things that ever happened to me.
Yeah. No
And it's
doubt.
like really close to Milwaukee, which is really funny. But having been here now for many years, I've been like, oh, I can go anywhere.
Yeah. When you overcome a fear, it's so powerful, even if it's a smaller one, but your fear of leaving Milwaukee was not a small one. You had many very sound reasons to be fearful about moving again.
Yeah.
However, overcoming a fear one time, it's amazing how these things start to ripple in your life and you can start to see bigger things for yourself and see yourself in different situations and all that. That's so beautiful. How did you get there though? How did you, like, what were the tools, or did you just all of a sudden overnight go, oh, let's just do the thing?
The tools
that got you there. Yeah. Or if you didn't.
Black women.
Okay too, but.
Black women.
Yeah. Okay. So you had the supportive community.
I really did. I have some amazing mentors. I have, even while in college, my first two mentors that I got in this industry, both live in New York. But they are so great. And they were like, hey, we want to connect you with people who are closer to you so that you can be closer in community and get what you need. And so my first mentor introduced me to one of my most active mentors in this industry. So it's Zion Love and Nakia Mathis, and then they introduced me to Melody Betts, and then Melody Betts really took me under her wings, and Malkia Stampley. And they all just was like, we got you. And they were like doing everything.
Yeah.
It was like Melody was working with me, coaching with me, and she was figuring out my move to Chicago. And because she lived in Chicago and grew up here. So she was like, oh no, you're good. And Zion was coaching me. Like they were all hands-on in the journey.
Yes.
Being like, you got this, you can do this, you don't need to be afraid. And we got you. And they really did have me, and they prepped me in every way possible, not just for moving, but to be in this industry. I will always, shall always credit them. There's a poem in my book called, let's see, do I remember the name of it? But it's The Seven, and it's at the end of this book. But The Wonderful Seven.
Oh, those are your mentors.
These are my mentors, and they're all listed at the bottom: Nakia, Zaya, Melody, Christina, Malkia, Alexis, and Rhodey.
Beautiful. Seven's a wonderful, in numerology, seven's a very powerful number, my dear. And so what I love about this story that you're telling here is you are the epitome of the power of community to transform lives.
Yeah.
And in this moment in time, it's just really critical that we as Black women in particular start to find our people and build community, because if we can't take care of what we need and create what we need, if it wasn't clear before, it should be clear now.
Yeah.
Nobody else is going to do that for us.
Yeah.
So if we're going to do the thing, let's do what works for us. Let's build structures that are meaningful and supportive of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know you know about other communities too. And it's not, you don't have to find a community. You can find many communities that support different aspects of your life. And I know you're doing that, because I know we're in a community together too.
Yeah. I believe in a tap in.
Yeah.
I really do. I think the thing that has been the most consistent in my life is sisterhood.
Yes.
And I've had it. So the other transitional moments in my life that I did not know then, but as I reflect now, I look back to when I was 12. When I was 12 years old, my mother was in the process of having her kids removed from the home. And I didn't want to go to a random home. And I remember the social worker being like, you could stay with a family member. And so I left before they could take us.
Yeah.
They did come and take my other siblings, but I left the house. And I went to go live with an aunt and then another aunt and a grandparent. But I went and stayed with a couple different people. And at that time, I had also summer prior had just joined a dance camp. And I was in this dance camp for the summer, and it was their first time doing it for kids. This was in 2007.
Oh, yeah.
And it was the first time they had the camp for kids. And so I was a part of their very first cohorts of children in the camp. And I did not have the funds to do this dance camp. But the church that I was growing up in, my godmother, she bought water bottles and beads. And me and my god sister were like selling popsicles and stuff on the side of the street. We did not raise the money. But one day after church, my pastor came and he was like, handed me an envelope. He said, I hear you want to do a dance camp. And it was enough money in there to pay for the camp, get the lid tart and tap shoes and get all the stuff. And I'm blown. But the transitional moment in that time period for me was leaving my mother's home before they took the kids. And I was 12. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Like,
girl.
I just was like, okay, I'm gone. And I didn't know what that would do or mean later. But what ended up happening was this community of sisterhood that I met in the dance camp. I stayed connected with them. And eventually,
you found a community even at that age. Obviously you weren't planning that, but yeah.
I stayed connected with this dance company, and I couldn't join the company after they had opened it up for the girls to join the company. I couldn't join because I didn't have the funds.
Yeah.
But I stayed connected with these women. And that was 2007. And in 2009, I was like, this was a few years later. In 2009, so I'm like, all my numbers is mixed up. But in 2009,
it's okay. It doesn't. Yeah.
I ended up moving in with one of the founders of the company.
Right.
And she has become, I call her my madre. And that is how I have found family with her.
Yeah.
And she has been my mothering figure since I've been a part of Signature Dance Company. But I've grown up in that company of sisterhood. But from them, like from the very beginning of just being a part of the Signature, I understood the importance of sisterhood and the necessity of that kind of community. And then having my mentors and being in theater and then even becoming a writer for the people and not just for myself.
Yeah. Look, I wanted to ask you, let's talk about that, because so many of us have not gotten to the point where we realize that our voice needs to be heard by others. Mm-hmm. Yes, we can write for ourselves, but our ministry comes when we learn to share our voice with others.
Yeah.
And for you, that's singing and acting and all of that, but that book too. Tell us a little bit about that journey and how you became an author. I know you've been writing for yourself forever.
It
sounds like it. I don't know you that well. I wasn't with you the whole way, but I've read about you.
You're on the right track with it.
Yeah.
So Shredding Rugs is the name of my book. My little book baby.
Beautiful cover.
Thank you. The artwork by Christina Costa Robinson, who's one of my mentors.
Yeah.
But from a young age, I wrote down a lot of poetry. I was a kid in school and I loved books and stories and I loved poetry and I loved spoken word.
Yes.
I remember like YouTube and spoken word artists and I would listen to them and I was like, yeah, I have all these feelings. I need to do something with them. And so I would write it down. And when I was younger, I don't know that it stopped, but when I was younger, a lot of my spoken word was colorful language.
Yeah, yeah.
Write it
a lot
down.
of people have that approach to the spoken word.
That's right. Write it down. And so I look back at those notebooks and I go, wow, Lachrisa, you're really feeling something.
But sometimes it's appropriate words for the feelings. So yeah.
And so I wrote all these things, but they were just for me because I was like, I just have these feelings I need to get out.
Yeah.
And they had something to say, but I didn't think it was for anybody else. And it wasn't until, honestly, a few years ago, probably about like 2021.
Okay.
Like not that long ago, I had been in therapy and I had this epiphany moment. And it's one of the notes to self in the book where I had a moment with myself where I was talking to a friend and I said, I'm not sure why I was granted access to healing in this godforsaken world, but I'll be damned if I let it go to waste. And I think it was in that moment and in that conversation that I realized, like, if I want other girls to be free, if I want other women to know that healing is possible, that they can meet a version of themselves that they've only dreamed about or don't even have the capacity to dream about, then my story can't just be my own and my words can't only belong to me.
Yes.
But the way you have a ripple effect of healing is that this sort of naked and free in front of the world, unashamed, where it's like a very vulnerable and scary thing to go, here I am, here is me.
Yes.
All the broken parts and the parts that's glued together and the parts that are still a little shattered and the parts that are found that look whole again. Here is all of me in
Yes.
a way that shows people the person in front of you, there's so much more to her. And I
Yes.
think I think one of the most amazing things that have come from this book is people who have known me for years. I have a friend who literally texted me. I'm going to see if I can share it with you. But after my book came out and she'd attended the virtual kickoff event,
Mhm.
and then she texts me and she said, I apologize for texting you so late, but I just wanted to tell you that you are effing amazing.
Yeah.
I had no idea you went through all of that. And the amount of strength and courage and resilience you have shown in just a few words that you spoke is remarkable. But I was like, oh, people see you at the surface level
Yes.
and they think, oh, look at this girl who's just so happy and joyous. I wish. And they think it's not accessible to them or it's impossible for them because they're going through hard things or they haven't worked through whatever is holding them hostage. And so to see me beyond the surface level, anybody who does not know me for real, to be
Yes.
able to see the smiling girl, but also to read this book and say, no, ain't no way.
Powerful stuff.
It's
It's
where I go.
powerful stuff because when we see others that have made it through, there's nothing like that type of encouragement to know they have been through what I've been through. Because we all think we're out here alone doing this thing.
Yeah.
We're not even designed to do all this stuff alone, but we don't quite realize it. We've been told some other things that we're independent entities. We're all connected. And the
Okay.
sooner we get it, by the way, the sooner we, as Black women, is because the world has told us there's only room for one or two of us everywhere we turn. And so we've been trained to think we're in competition with each other. But when you know who you are, and I know you know this, when you know who you are at the depth of your soul, there's no competition. We all have unique gifts we're bringing here and a
Yeah.
unique voice. And the sooner we find our ways of collaborating and sharing, and not everybody's going to be in the same space all the time, but you navigate through spaces and situations and communities and all of this. And as soon as you realize you're not in competition with anyone, it changes everything.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you this. One of the most, like, beyond the whole competitive mindset, one of the most amazing things that happened for me this year was so I've spent every summer, and I have to give a sort of preamp to this statement because I've spent the last 8 years working in Door County, Wisconsin.
Okay.
I work for a theater company up north. I love my theater company, love working with them. And all of them know this about me.
Yes.
I also am often the only or one of very few Black people
Yeah.
up there.
Yep.
It's a very white county.
Yes.
And I have done a lot of work in trying to bring more people of color up north, which has been a wonderful thing as well. However, this past summer was the first time I didn't go up north, which I met Bird up north,
Yeah.
who published my book. And so great things have come from being up north
Yeah.
and great connections.
Yes.
But this summer was the first time I didn't go up north because I stayed in Chicago to do The Color Purple at the Goodman. And my word, I got done with the season and my theater company said, well, we're doing these shows and we really want you to come back next year. And I said, I got to pause. I don't think I can come back next season. Not that I won't come back again ever. I'll be back up north. I love it up there too.
Yeah.
I said, but I got to pause. I just spent the summer in Wakanda.
Yeah.
I just spent the summer just overwhelmed by Black, beautiful, magnificent, phenomenal magic.
Yes.
Like, The Color Purple is The Color Purple for a reason. But there's a lyric when she says, it was like black, seeing black for the first time. And in this moment of my life, in this part of my career, it is really rare for a majority of Black working actors to have experiences where you work with Black cast all the time.
Yeah.
That is a special thing.
Yes, it is.
And it is a rare thing, oftentimes, because theater wants to be a task not for all sometimes.
Yes. Yes.
They think not all stories belong on stages. So it's
That's-
hard. And there's very few Black stories. And so not everybody gets to have the experience of telling those all the time.
Yeah.
But the moment you do, I just was like, I want to be in more rooms where there's all Black creatives. I've never been in a room like that where you can go like fully release. It really is going to the cookout.
Yeah.
But it's all I'm with my people.
That's
And
right.
we talk differently. We laugh differently. One of my favorite moments was, I think it was like 4 or 5 of us. We were on a break in rehearsal.
Yeah.
And we are gut laughing, like
Yeah.
falling over each other. The
Yeah.
only way Black people know how to laugh.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you can't have that experience in any other room. And even if you have one other Black person, like it's the two of you, and it's like, okay, we can't be doing too much. We got to keep ourselves.
But yeah.
I think there's so much. So I say all that to say, like, when we embrace the power and the magic and the wonderfulness of who we are with each other and with ourselves, oh my goodness, what kind of rooms could we be in? And what kind of
we have to create them. It is absolutely imperative that we create spaces for us to be in conversation, because those are the spaces that allow us to bring the fullness of who we are. That's how we remember. So you started by saying that a 5th grader helped you remember.
Yeah.
Those are the spaces where we start to remember who we are. And that's when we can tap into the divine power of who we were created to be.
Yeah.
Why we're on this planet.
Yeah.
And when we tap into that, there's very little. I'm not saying there's not struggles along the way. We're in the earth, what I call the earth school. It's not that it's without struggles, but when you tap into that piece, that's when you're living. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm so glad you touched into this, because it is not an exclusivity thing for us to be gathering so that we can really be the fullness of ourselves. Sorry, it isn't. It's a healing thing. There's all these things that it is. It's not an exclusive thing, and it's never to exclude anyone. It is about us being us and having a space where we can be ourselves.
Yeah.
Fullness of who we are, which is not always appreciated by every space.
Yeah.
We can bring it all there. And anyhow, it's just, these are the types of spaces where we can remember who we are. That's just the truth of it. And once we touch that place, all of a sudden the magic happens and we start to understand the way we need to move through the world and all of those types of things. Let me ask you this question. So in all of this, what's one thread that you think connects this journey you've been on, this amazing journey that you've been on?
And what's one thread, aside from the one we just talked about?
Which is the sisterhood? Is that it?
Yeah.
Community.
I really am a product of communities and intentional communities.
Yeah. Okay. So that's important distinction too.
Yeah. And the reason I share of leaving my home when I was 12 is because, and how I didn't know that was impactful then, is because I have siblings, many siblings. And sometimes people will ask, oh, how did you end up here? Versus where my siblings are great and we have all different paths and whatever. But I do think the difference in our journey and the difference of where I am is the intentional communities that I've been a part of. And so I know that leaving then would place me where I am now versus staying.
Yeah.
That's a big part of the difference.
Yeah.
And so I think intentional communities, and I think, and this may be a Lachrisa thing, I don't know. But
that's okay. We'd like to hear Lachrisa things.
I have always, even in my darkest moments and like the most confused moments, have been a point of view or a perspective person. I'm always looking for understanding of something. So even when I am lost, I go, it's okay. Every road leads to somewhere. And especially now at my age, I've been in this very deep place for the last, 5, 6 years. So I lost my mother 10 years ago. My mother passed away.
Okay.
And of so much of my childhood and because of my youth, I didn't have a a great relationship with my mother when she passed. It was fine. We spoke and we were cordial and everything, but it wasn't whatever mother-daughter relationship. And so she passed, and then I was regretful. And
Yeah.
I was like, beat myself up a little bit. And I was like, I wish I could have. And then I was like, it's okay. You were a kid. It took a second for me to understand, like, I operated the best I knew how with everything I was. That's okay.
Yes.
And that's okay. And the last however many years I've been in this place of understanding people. And I think it took a lot of work for me to just remove my mother from being my mother and let her be a person.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always a challenging place. And as adults, most of us get there eventually when you
Yeah.
realize your parents are just people like you. And it's, oh, okay.
Yeah. I thought you were someone special.
Yes. We look, when we're young, we think our parents are everything.
Yeah. So I think having this interest in point of views, this interest in perspective forever has been a true threading line for me because I always, whatever I experience or whatever I observe, I'm always wondering what are all the other dimensions of things that could happen.
Yeah. That adds to your craft too, no doubt about that. The perspective thing gives you a great deal of insight in terms of acting and writing and all those things. What's one truth that you want to share with women in transition that you just could be transformative for them?
One truth.
Or either grounding for them. It could be both.
Yeah. I think one truth for me, especially the last few years, have been, and in all of my transitions, but one that I really just came to terms with
Yeah.
is I we are so ingrained to be strong
Yeah.
and to be superheroes. And I think the blessing and the curse of Black girl magic,
Yeah.
of this idea that like we are all doing beings next to God.
Yes.
And so you don't want to appear weak. And I think, and I say appear because crying or resting or breathing or quitting
Yeah.
would appear weak. And I think the truth I would offer up is to choose not to be the strong one sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that has honestly, like, I don't even know how I can say this in short term, but I think one of the things that really did, I don't know if it saved me or or how I carried myself through is I felt guilty still, but I definitely stopped feeling like I had to try to save everyone else too.
Yeah.
Like I had to be the strong one. I had to be the one that provided for everybody. I had to be the resource. And I was just like, no, I gotta tap out and it's all the boundaries and all that stuff too.
Yeah.
But it was also like, I need to cry. I
Yes.
really need to cry because I am often the strong friend, the strong person, the one who is holding everyone else up. And so it's who's your person then? And you don't. You just hold it all in and you want to be strong. You want to be that Black girl magic. And I think it's okay to cry, to sleep, to spend a few days just laying there and rejuvenating and breathing and being, to
Yeah.
quit a thing that is tearing you down so that you can figure out what it is you should be doing.
Yes.
Not spend your life wasting away at things that are literally hurting you mentally, physically,
That's right.
emotionally,
Death dealing. I call
spiritually.
that death dealing. Yeah. Yes. Death of spirit. It may not be death otherwise, but it's the death of your spirit.
Yeah.
That thing that enlivens us. Yeah.
Yeah. So I am a cheerleader for choose the part where you choose you.
Yes. And at the end of the day, when you choose you, you have more to give. You give from overflow instead of giving from scarce, depleted,
Yeah.
from overflow instead of depleted.
Yeah.
And the impact, the ripples get much bigger.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's one of the most powerful things to be vulnerable because we've been told that it's not, if you make yourself vulnerable, that's weakness. The weakest people are the ones who are blustering all the time. The people
Yeah.
who are strong show you the fullness of who they are.
Yeah.
They can take some of the armor down and be who they are. The fullness of it. The fullness of who we are is what we're here for.
I like the fullness of who we are.
Yeah.
Yeah. You get choose all the parts that choose you
Yeah.
every
Look,
time.
look, this is exactly where we need to end, because that is exactly the message behind all of this is get to that place where you can show up as the fullness of you. Thank you so much for being here. I can't express how powerful it is to hear from someone who is really in the creative space, because so many of us have that part of us that we think it can't turn into a life. It can't. There's all these myths around living a life of creativity that we're going to break all that stuff, because it's,
oh goodness,
yeah,
I am proof. I really am proof. Like,
yeah,
I have been a full-time working artist
yeah.
for the better part of a decade,
That's
and
beautiful.
even in the pandemic, through it and out of it.
Yeah.
And so it's possible, but you have to decide, and you have to choose, and you have to be intentional.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much. How can people reach you? Tell us how the audience can reach you and support your work and all that good stuff, first and foremost. And by the way, y'all, we'll put it in the show notes, but I just want you to share here how you want folks to reach out.
You can always find out information about me, what I'm up to, how to purchase my book, or listen to podcasts, interviews, speaking engagements, any of that.
Yeah.
On my website, LachrisaGrandberry.com.
Yeah.
It's my first and last name.com.
Yeah.
And then I'm an open book on social media, so feel free to follow me on Instagram. Is probably the easiest.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Give me 1 second and we'll close out. But it's been such a joy to have you here. If this episode spoke to you, I want to invite you to reflect on this question. What's one soul-synced moment, one soul-synced activity, one soul-synced choice that you can make today? And as always, subscribe, share this with someone standing at their own threshold, and join us next time for the next soul-synced moment. Thanks, Lachrisa.
Thank you.
What if retirement wasn't a finish line, but a sacred beginning? Women Don't Retire is a call to reimagine your next chapter with purpose, power, and joy. I share real stories, deep truths, and practical wisdom for women ready to lead, even after leaving the title behind. Available now on Kindle and Amazon. See the show notes for a link to get your copy today.
Take a breath. Let your shoulders soften, clench your jaw, and drop gently into this moment. You don't need to bring anything with you right now. No performance, no plan, just presence. Because this episode isn't here to teach you how to do more. It's here to help you remember what's already alive in you and what's longing to move, if you'd let it. This is an invitation to find your way back to community, the real kind, the kind that doesn't ask you to shrink, explain, or prove, the kind that sees the version of you that's still becoming, the one that's quiet, curious, and creatively restless. If you've ever felt like your creativity was trapped under obligation, if you've ever felt the ache of wanting to be fully seen without being dissected or sold to, if you'd longed for a space where you could exhale and say, I don't know yet, but I'm listening, you're in the right place. In this conversation with Lachrisa, you'll hear the pulse of real womanhood, not branded, not polished, but sacred in its truth. We talk about reclaiming our creative rhythms, what it means to find belonging outside of the usual metrics, and how to root into joy without forcing it into something deliverable. Let these words be a soft landing. Let this space remind you that you are not behind. You are not too much. You are not invisible. You are in process. And that's sacred. So wherever you are, walking, resting, hiding in the car between errands. Know this. There is a place for your creativity. There is a place for your wholeness. There is a place for your voice. Right here, right now. Let's begin.
Thank you for sharing this moment with me. Until next time, stay soft, stay grounded, and stay in sync with your soul. Subscribe, leave a review, or share it with someone at their own threshold.